almost ready to make my first chips on this machine, but before I start I'm going to measure the runout when the spindle is cold and when it's warmed up. I already adjusted the bearings as good as I was able to, so let me show you the runout when it's cold. I am measuring against this arbor because the spindle nose is a bit damaged, so when measuring on this surface the dial indicator needle it jumps around a bit. So I think that's about 3/100 of a millimeter runout. So that's about 6 degrees. That's, well, it's pretty cold here. So now I'm going to leave it run for like 20 minutes and check the temperature now and again. This is after about 20 minutes, maybe a bit more. The runout is still pretty much the same. So I've been running at 600 RPM for 5-6 minutes now. So we're over 30 degrees. I think that'll be enough. It's harder to turn. Well, runout hasn't changed much. Warming up the spindle did help with this deflection test. Before I could easily deflect it like 5-6 hundredths of a millimeter. I can now get 3. One thing I noticed before is that the oil gets pretty dark. Here's the runout with the chuck. It's all over the place. It's not a lot run out. Getting ready to cut this piece of aluminium. First cut ever for me, so I'm a bit nervous if this doesn't work. There might have been a lot of work for nothing. Okay, here we go. I'm running at 400 RPM. This ball handle is a bit awkward to operate. bird nest. It's hard to keep a constant cutting speed. Well, that wasn't too bad. Bit of a mess, but that's okay. There you go. First chips, well, strings. Let's try a facing cut. This tool post is a bit awkward. You need rather big tools, otherwise it won't clamp it at both ends. And well, on my Chinese lathe, I would just set the four-way tool post at an angle and use the same bit to face the workpiece, but I can't do this with this tool post. I would need a left-hand tool bit for that. I got a tool with a rather big radius. It's one of my longer tool bits, and I know it's sharp, so let's give this a try. See if I can remove that small piece in the middle. Looks like I'm a bit low. Luckily I made a whole bunch of adjustment shims. So let's add 0.4 millimeter. That's better. Let's speed things up. At 600 RPM, the highest speed, there's still a bit of vibration. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not perfect, but not bad. Let's try center drilling. That will be a good indicator if the bed and the tailstock are in alignment with the headstock. Well, that worked. This is a 8mm drill. 400 RPM. And I'm through. Yeah, that went okay. Time to try some real metal. I don't know what we got here, but we're gonna try and cut it. Speed it up. There must have been some oil on there, because it was smoking a bit. Well, not perfect, not bad. Let's try taking off a bit more. I'm running at 600. Still a bit rough. A bit better. This terrible finish was already on there. I would like to say somebody else did it, but it must have been me. 400 RPM. A bit slow. Can't go any further. I know this stuff was pretty hard to cut. $600. Same shit. I need another tool bit and a longer workpiece. Another piece of mystery metal. Here we go, 600 RPM. I should use a live center. Let's set up the live center. Some cutting oil instead of WD-40. Well, it's better than the finish that was on there. It's not perfect. This thing is very hard to reverse. It's also pretty annoying to operate. Slowing down seems to help. That's a marginal success. I don't know what kind of material this is, so I'm trying to stay positive. Alright, final test. Parting off. Well, at least partial parting off, because I'm not really sure if this is on a 90 degrees angle with the workpiece, so it's a bit hard to set up. Yeah, here we go. This is at 300 RPM. A bit too much for the belt. RPM. $200. I'm surprised that it isn't stalling. Let's try 100. So this 10 hertz. Yeah. Start to slip on the small pulley. And again. Well, I'll leave it at that. I must say that's better than my cheap Chinese lathe. A lot better. And I'm surprised that it did still cut at 10 hertz. Well, that concludes taking the first cuts. It was, well, I'm quite happy with this. I would call it a success. I could do a whole lot of testing, measurements and such, how precise this lathe is, but to be honest, I don't really feel like it. Maybe in another video, but for now I don't want to find out how bad this thing is. For now I'm just enjoying the fact that this old lathe took its first cuts.